This is the Washington Times front page for the first day of December, Thursday, December 1st, 2022. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. President Biden is hosting French President Emmanuel Macron for the first state dinner of his presidency. Joseph Clark reports the White House billed the glitzy affair as a symbol of the strong ties between the United States and its oldest ally. It's also a chance for the two countries to reaffirm their close alignment on global issues, including climate change, the war in Ukraine, and competition with China. Key points of contention are expected to surface behind closed doors, including over the Inflation Reduction Act. Macron is among a chorus of European officials against the law's generous tax credits for U.S. manufactured electric vehicles, which they say pose a direct threat to their economic interests. The war in Ukraine is entering its darkest hour, with Ukrainians racing to repair energy and water infrastructure damaged by Russian missiles and to deliver basic cold weather supplies to a population bracing for a brutal winter. The war's focus, Ben Wolfgang reports, is increasingly turning to efforts to prepare Ukrainian troops and civilians for the wrath of nature. Russian President Vladimir Putin's plan now centers on using drone and missile attacks to crush Ukraine's infrastructure, food delivery networks, and other backbones of society. The strategy highlights the failures of Putin's military to achieve most of their strategic aims through more conventional means. Outcries from the West and from humanitarian groups around the globe have done little to slow the Russian strategy of using winter as a lethal weapon. House Republicans are refining their investigation of major tech companies in the next Congress, seeking to unearth hidden censorship operations of big tech platforms and social media websites. Ryan Lovelace reports top targets for investigation at the House Judiciary Committee include Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, and others, according to a source. The House Energy and Commerce Committee is also poised to press the Biden administration for its records of government officials' private work, encouraging online speech restrictions. You can read all of these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. You can also find the entire lineup of Washington Times podcasts at WashingtonTimes.com/podcasts. The Biden administration has finalized a rule that allows employers to funnel workers' 401k funds into investments that address issues such as climate change and diversity. Jeff Murdoch reports the Labor Department approved the rule last week. It'll affect roughly 150 million workers and $10 trillion in assets covered under the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974. The rule says asset managers and retirement plan administrators should consider environmental, social, and corporate governance factors when selecting investments. The rules also remove a restriction blocking employers from using an ESG fund as a default option for workers that are automatically enrolled in 401k plans. And finally, thousands of millionaires were collecting government unemployment checks while essential workers were paying into the system during the coronavirus pandemic, according to IRS data. Stephen Dinan reports more than 19,000 tax filers who reported earning at least $1 million in 2020 also collected unemployment benefits that year. The IRS found those people collected more than $250 million in payments. Among them were 229 taxpayers who earned at least $10 million that year, yet also applied for and took unemployment payments. Nearly 700 more taxpayers collected jobless benefits despite making $5 million to $10 million. Millionaires are entitled to unemployment payments because of a 1964 Labor Department ruling that said states could not impose a means test on the program's beneficiaries. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.